Alright, you ready to play some Super Mario World?
I am ready.
I got the cartridge right here. Ready?
Nice.
Alright, let's see here. Get it in there. Alright. It's not turning on.
Did you blow on it?
What are you talking about?
You gotta blow on it.
What?
Here, let me see.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Okay, what is happening here?
Where are we?
Glix, give us a situation report.
Currently, we are on the planet Geekery. Be warned, our impossibility drive may cause distortions as we traverse this land. Impending impossibility engaging in 3,
Oh, gosh.
2, 1.
Alright, guys, welcome to Comm Talk. This is episode 47 of Comm Talk, the podcast extension of Geek Devotions, a show from a couple of devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. I'm Dallas, with me is
Celeste.
Do us a favor, if you guys enjoy this podcast, make sure you head over to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps us out a lot. And also share this out with a lot of people because sharing is caring, is what I'm told. Isn't that right, Celeste?
Possibly. Except when it comes to germs.
Right.
And it's also Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. I keep messing that up for some reason.
They keep throwing us off.
They do. All right, so here's the deal, guys. Today, this is a special recording of Comm Talk. So we're going to be playing Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario World. Not Super Mario Brothers. It's a Super Nintendo game. It came out many, many moons ago when we were kids. Yes. And so we're going to be playing that while we talk about some video game stuff. Video game things are happening recently in our life.
Yeah.
So, all right, Celeste, let's get this going here. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I stopped it.
What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, you clicked off of it.
Yeah, that happens. All right. So, we're going to be playing Super Mario.
Okay, am I player 1?
You are player 1, my dear.
Woohoo!
So, make sure you just do, yeah, that's good. 2 players. There we go.
Woohoo!
All right, so we're playing this because video games have been a big deal for us recently. And, excuse me, guys, I'm so sorry. Just been a big part of our life as of late. Celeste and I recently took part in a really cool event with our friends over at Victims and Villains. And that event was Hope Station. It was a 48-hour video game stream.
Yes, it was.
And while doing that, we partook in it. But the point of it wasn't just to have fun and play video games. The point of it was actually to raise awareness about suicide prevention and to help raise funds for our friends over at Victims and Villains who they're working to get curriculum in every school across America to help teach young people on how to deal with some major issues like depression and other mental issues. And it was a really cool event, I think.
It was. We had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one currently playing because I forgot on Super Mario it doesn't let... Oh, I know how to do a spin jump. It doesn't let you play 2 people at one time.
Oh, yeah,
so if I'm like...
Lacked.
Get in my belly. Sorry. Eating something.
Right?
With Yoshi. So...
I forgot that Yoshi can spit fire.
Yeah, it depends on the little creature he eats. So if my speech is a little bit off, it's because I'm playing the game. No, he's chasing me. Okay, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Oh my god, he's.
There you go.
Come.
There you go.
Hey, I didn't know you could get it that way.
Get that one up.
So, but yeah, if I'm a little bit distracted, that's why.
Right. So, but yeah, Hope Station was a really cool event.
It was.
Celeste and I played some really cool fun games. Celeste played Donkey Kong and then
Super Panda Adventure,
which was this crazy thing that popped out of nowhere for us. Like
it was like a oh my gosh, come back, Yoshi. It was like this $3 game on Steam, and I was like, hey, this looks cute. Why don't we... Like, I literally found it the night before the stream.
Right.
But I have a tendency to get frustrated with Super Mario.
Or Donkey Kong.
With Donkey Kong. Like, that tends to... I get frustrated with Mario, too.
Yeah.
That tends to be my, like... I'm, like, so frustrated and I get angry, and I try not to rage. What does that one do? It looks different. Nom. So I was like, I'm going to need something to switch to when I get to a point of where I am no longer, like, functioning as far as, like...
She's trying to jump up and get these flying things. I think if you jump and then you jump off Yoshi midair, you hit him.
I don't know how to do that. Wait, how do I jump off Yoshi?
Right.
Okay, you know what? I'm just leaving it.
There you go. So anyways, it came out of nowhere. People were really fascinated by it. In fact, several of the streamers who watched Let's Play it, they have gone and bought it recently because we were all just so fascinated by it. Ah, he's gonna get you.
I'm done. He's gone. So yeah, they were just so fascinated by it, which is actually the second night I played it for the full 2 hours that I was streaming, and like I got a little bit frustrated with it because I'm not the best at figuring things out.
Right. So
like I'm like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what's happening, and that's just because that's just how I am.
Right.
Like I'm like, I don't understand. Ow, it's a big bomb. So but I didn't really have moments where I was like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I don't want to play this anymore. Which was nice.
Yeah. It really was a fun game to watch.
So I haven't finished it. We're going to be streaming it some more on Twitch.
Right.
Periodically, as I have time.
So part of today's episode is we're going to kind of talk about our history with video gaming.
Oh dear.
And our, video games we played in the past.
Yeah.
Some of our first video games and our affinity for them. So, Celeste, you want to go first? You want to talk about your stuff? Or you want me to do it while you run Mario?
Yeah, you do yours while I'm playing this level. Hello,
Retro Rewind. Hey man, what's going on? We are recording live our podcast, Retro Rewind. And we've already told people that this is it. We're going for no edit Sunday. There will be no edits for this podcast that comes out tomorrow. So what you see or what you hear is what you get. But right now, Retro Rewind, we are about to talk about just kind of our video game history, like what our earliest video games were. For me, my very first video game was the NES that came out back in the 80s. I was probably 5 years old. So this was like 88, 89, whenever I got my first Nintendo. Mm-hmm. And it, of course, came with Mario.
Yes.
And it came with Duck Hunt, and it was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, Duck Hunt.
And there's a lot of memories I have with playing a game. Like, for example, for those who listening to the podcast, you're not watching it on YouTube or here on Twitch Live, Celeste just jumped over one of those pipes with a little jumping little plant things that come out that bite you, and
Don't eat me.
to this day I remember was when I first played the game. My dad, and you guys have to remember, my dad was kind of a bit of a crasser gentleman at times. Oh no, you died. But I remember him going, he goes, dude, I was sitting on top of the pipe, and he goes, you better move or that thing's gonna come and bite your butt. It was funny. But I remember that to this day. And I remember a couple, last year, Celeste's little brother was here at our house hanging out. And I think, how old is Noah now?
Noah is 11 now, but he has special needs.
Yeah.
So
he was like 10 at the time. And like you said, he has special needs, so his age, the way he acts and the way his actual age are a little different. But we're on that spot, the exact same spot. I introduced him to Mario, the original Super Mario Brothers, and I did the exact same thing. And it was funny to me because it was just the nostalgia of it. So, come on, guy. Nope, duck. So what did Francisco say?
Francisco says, wow, bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out then. Don't know who Cotton is, but,
Oh, man. Alright, here we go. Alright, I'm big now. Nope. Oh, my goodness gracious.
I react to the games in case somebody didn't realize that.
Alright, there we go. I got through the first level. Alright, so anyways. So that was my earliest exposure to video games. From that, so I had that game, and then later my parents had gotten my sister a Little Mermaid. And so that, of course, meant that I played Little Mermaid. I'm not even ashamed to say that. I played Little Mermaid, and I rocked it out, guys. I beat that whole entire game.
I kind of want Little Mermaid now.
It was an interesting game. And then, what else do we have? In an effort to be educational, my parents had gotten us Sesame Street, which really was nothing more than an alphabet game of some sort. And so I played that. What else do we have? We had Top Gun, which I'm sure Retro Rewind podcasts can affirm that is the worst game in the history of mankind. Nobody can land that stupid plane. See here. It was a dodgeball quote. Oh.
Don't know what... Like the game Dodgeball?
No, the movie Dodgeball.
There's a movie about Dodgeball? Why did I not get that?
Because it was inside the pipe.
Oh, that's not fun.
Yeah, there was a movie about dodgeball. It was interesting. It was where the phrase, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
What?
We may have to watch that later. But anyways.
I feel like no.
So we played Top Gun. And I remember Demar and I both trying our best to beat that stupid game. But we could never land the plane. I'm trying to think what else I had on the original Nintendo. Oh! Alright, so I don't know if you remember the movie, Celeste, The Rocketeer.
Yeah.
I had the video game version of that. And
I just want to shoot fire.
As it does fall, unfortunately, under the problem of all video game movies, which is our movie video games. I'm not sure what to call it now, where they just don't work out. They're not good. Francisco says, "Oh my, well, I think Atari ET beats Top Gun as worse." But yeah, it bites. Yes, Atari's ET was a horrific game. So much so that they took all the copies and buried it out in the desert. And at least that's what I've heard.
Hey, I killed him!
So, but I played the mess out of that game.
Yes.
Out of Rocketeer. I also played a lot of Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
It was so fun. I remember Ninja Turtles, Battletoads, and there's another game I used to play that I would rent from the video store. And I loved them. They were great games.
Yeah.
So while I play this, Celeste, you do yours.
So, this game we're playing right now is actually one of mine. My mom and I, we got I was probably, oh my gosh, so many coins. I was probably like 11 or 12. I remember my first game is actually is a Sega Game Gear. Someone gave it to me, but that thing had so many batteries that I only played it for like maybe 2 months,
right.
maybe. I mean, I was like 7, so I don't remember how long actual time was, but so that was probably my first was Sonic.
Right.
And then when I was about 10 or 11, someone gave us a Super Nintendo and some games, and so we had Super Mario World. Yes, continue and save. We had Super Mario World, we had Donkey Kong Country, which, I don't have to go up there because you already did that, right?
I don't know.
Okay, let me go up there just to be safe.
I don't think you do. Nope, I've already activated all the switches for you.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Woohoo! So, oh dear. I have some good memories of my mom and I. Like, it was always if I did good on my schoolwork, or I did my tests, finished by a certain time, that we were able to do play games. And so that's actually part of why I'm so passionate about beating Donkey Kong, because it's something she and I did and we're never able to completely beat it.
Right.
We got much farther than I've ever gotten on my games by myself. But whoosh. But it was definitely an intro. Oh wait, there's a thing down there.
Yeah, there's a pipe.
How do I get down there? Can I just
jump? Just walk off the edge.
But I don't want to. Ow!
There you go. Remember those switches I activated?
Yeah.
Right there.
Gotcha.
So Francisco says, yes, Game Gear. Crystal Warriors was my favorite RPG on the Game Gear. I loved Game Gear too, by the way. I
don't think I ever had Crystal Warriors. I literally just had the one game.
Right.
So, but again, it was a gift. So,
So, funny story, the Game Gear, I actually, I played it for a little bit. Back in the day, you could rent video game systems from the video game stores, or from movie stores. And so, I rented a Game Gear as a kid. Well, Mom did. I had no money. And, the batteries were just a bad thing.
Yeah,
I think it was a great system.
So many batteries.
Right. If they could fix the battery system. There was a lot of issues with Sega, though. Like, I loved Sega Genesis games. Like, they were great games! In case you guys don't know, listening to this, Celeste just fell off a ledge.
So yeah, we did that, and then we had a few others. We had Jeopardy. We had Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune!
We had sports games, which my mom and I had no interest in.
Right.
It's funny, we're at the same spot.
Yeah, that's the way, with this game, you can leapfrog it.
Nice.
That's the way that you co-op together.
I didn't realize that was the thing. So yeah, we did all the classic...
Well, that was dumb of me. I just fell off. I was like, I'm going to take a walk off of this ledge here.
Short walk, or long walk off a short plank. So, it was definitely... No, but I had Yoshi.
Not anymore. We're dying here.
So much dying. Right. Yeah, but those were my games. I know that I had some friends that had Duck Hunt. I never had Duck Hunt because we had Super Mario, not Super Mario. We had Super Nintendo, not regular Nintendo.
Right.
And I don't think that was ever on Super.
I don't think it was. I know that it's been played with for other things. Like, I told you about the game. What was it called? Hunting Season or something like that?
Is that the one that Matt Pat did a thing on?
It is. It's super creepy.
Yeah.
But they played with the idea of the game. So, that was a pretty cool game. I never played it.
It just sounded cool.
It did sound very cool. I'm so glad I got these planks out here.
Me too.
So, alright, cool. So, those are kind of our earliest things with gaming. Mine was NES, Les was with the Super Nintendo. No, I'm sorry. Super Nintendo and Game Gear were your first two ones. So, curious to hear from you guys who are in the chat. If you want to drop in, what was your earliest game that you ever played? Gaming system that you ever played or owned, either way. Because sometimes those are different.
Sometimes they are different.
So, all right, cool. So,
well, here's one more thing. Does playing the Barbie fashion game on a computer count as video game?
Sure, we'll count that.
Because that was in there as well somewhere.
Really?
So from one of our friends had it. That and Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, Carmen Sandiego was a great game.
Yes.
Everyone played that one and Oregon Trail. Those were the two games that defined our generation.
Didn't have access to Oregon Trail.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You didn't go to public school.
No, it did not. So... Oh, it's the fish.
It's the fish. Alright, so... since you shared your first portable game, my first portable game, there was an actual system, not just portable game, because they had those, like, weird little games that, like, there were one particular game, and nobody really knew how to play them. They just smashed buttons and watched black things go across the screen.
Right.
But I had gotten a Game Boy as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
My stepfather had won it in a drawing at work. And, I will remember you!
Friends, Retro on Pod says Atari 26,000, but I don't recall the name of the cowboy game that I remember as my first.
2600, by the way.
That's what I said.
You said 26,000.
Oh, sorry.
It's like, wow, that's an advanced Atari.
That's the Atari that's coming out soon.
Right? It's, did they meet the requirements for that?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Like, it was a Kickstarter campaign.
Oh, I didn't realize it was a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a thing that was happening.
It was happening because they were doing a Kickstarter.
I gotcha.
Yep.
I do not know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I had a Game Boy, and I loved the mess of that game.
You have to have Yoshi to fight those. The cacti. Cacti.
Cacti?
Cacti.
It's literally a cat.
Cat-tie. That's what they are.
Cacti.
Oh look, you can hit it repeatedly.
Yay, he gets some coins.
He's gonna get a headache.
These guys have some major Advil, like, stock.
Not a sponsor.
If you'd like to sponsor us, Advil, let us know.
We will definitely take that. Whoa! You're indestructible! Swim faster!
I can't! I've wasted it. Please don't die.
You didn't waste it because you're like not dying against those things that kill everything.
Ah! Like that?
Like that. Like, I need you to jump now. There we go.
Oh man, this is definitely an interesting way of doing this podcast. If we record our podcast live again, we may not necessarily be playing a video game. We're doing it because of the topic of that we're doing here.
Yeah.
So with video gaming, we've talked about kind of our first exposures to it and everything. Francisco, his first one was the 2600 Atari. Francisco's have to go, but have a great rest of the podcast. Thanks, Francisco. We appreciate you, buddy.
Have fun.
So, the next question we want to ask, or we're going to discuss, really, is a matter of what impact do we feel like video games have had on people in life? We've kind of mentioned this nostalgia that takes place a couple of times. So, like, for example, me making jokes with Celeste's little brother about the little thing coming up and get you. Right? Or, and Celeste has mentioned other things that were kind of the nostalgic thing. But why is that? Why is it that we connect to video games so much? What is it about them that creates that nostalgia for different people?
I think because they were such a big deal when we were kids.
Right.
That it's one of those things of that everyone... Oh, I died! That everyone has played Mario.
Right.
Like, everyone knows who Mario is. Everyone knows what this is. You can make jokes. And even if people who aren't gamers, aren't people who play games, they get it. Mm-hmm. They know who Yoshi is.
Yeah.
It's a part of the culture that it's like, okay, even if you don't know the super... What are you doing?
I'm trying to find a...
Even if you don't know the super, like, specific stuff, you still have a general idea as to what things are. Don't understand what that's for.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, you may not have played, but someone somewhere knows something about it, and it creates a sense of, oh, that's interesting. It creates a sense of, I guess, it's, the way to do it would be like, to say it would be, it creates a sense of, community, maybe?
Yeah.
Is that the right word I'm looking for?
I think so. There is this community. It's like we've had this shared experience of these games, and so, and with that, there's something for us to connect on, talk about.
Yeah.
And especially with some of the earlier games that seem, oh gosh, so pure, and there's something about them that just brings comfort to folks. Come on, get out of the way.
Well, because it also, a lot of people, video games is their escape.
Yeah.
We're not huge fans of escaping your reality and not facing your problems, but at the same time, every once in a while, it's not a bad thing.
It's a great decompression.
Yeah, it's a good way for just a moment. Oh my gosh. That thing, though. To have people, just have a moment where you're not having to worry about what's going on with life. You're not having to... Woohoo! You beat the castle. You're not having to worry about anything major. You're just playing a game.
Yeah, just relaxing. Two plumbers, right. Absolutely. So, with that, hey, we're doing this. Thank you! Blow up the castle.
Boom!
Yay, dancing egg. Mario has defeated the demented Iggy Koopa in Castle 1 and rescued Yoshi's friend, who is still trapped in an egg. Together, they now travel to Donut Land.
I want to go to Donut Land.
I want to go to Donut Land.
That sounds yummy.
Alright, so there does seem to be a community that's built around video games. And we've talked about the gaming community before. Our friend Joe of Geeks Under Grace, he just did this week's episode of Geek Devotions, kind of speaking to the gaming community. And we've seen a lot through the gaming community. You have people like Pastor Susie, who is the world's first full-time video game pastor on Twitch.
Which we super admire him for.
Oh, yeah. And I saw a statistic he put out, like, a couple years ago, he saw over 120 people get saved through his ministry on Twitch. I'm like, I can't tell you the number of churches at which they saw that many people come to Jesus through their ministry.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's definitely a thing out there for people. And, oh, man. And then we even saw some stuff like, when we did the 48-hour, no, we're out of lives.
But we saved.
We did. When we did the 48-hour Hope Station stream. Let's see here.
Oh, I'm out of lives.
Yeah, you're out of lives.
Yeah, let's make that more even.
So we saw some really cool things take place. We had this kid jump in. He's like 11 years old. And now remember, we were doing this for a group called Victims of Violence, which is a podcast about suicide prevention awareness. And we're on their YouTube channel streaming. And this kid shows up. And I mean 11-year-old kid.
I don't think we realized at first he was 11.
Right. But he got there because, for whatever reason, he was looking up stuff about suicide. And there we were. There was this group of people who have great intentions, that we're helping people out, we're loving on folks, we're playing some games for a good reason. And this 11-year-old comes into the chat. And it was an interesting situation. Now, it was kind of late, so we weren't able to be part of it, a lot of that. But our friend LJ, also from Geeks Under Grace, he was able to really sit there and talk with the kid. This kid was going through some stuff, and LJ was able to minister to him in a real way. Come on now. There we go. But LJ was able to minister to this kid and love on him and bring some peace and some hope for him just by being there in the community for him, being in this gaming community. And so there seems to be a necessity, in my opinion, for us as Christians, believers, people of faith, and to be in the community, to love on people, because we're here, and people they're in need. Ah!
Oh my gosh, they're throwing balls at each other.
I'm dead. So there seems to be a need for that.
Yeah. Well, and then scriptures even tell us that we need to be a part of the world. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to be in the world, but not of it. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Like, we can't hide ourselves away.
Right.
And expect that everything is going to be okay.
Right.
Well, that was quick. We can't hide ourselves away and expect everything to be okay. We can't expect the world to know that there is hope unless we're there sharing it.
Exactly.
So, I mean, no matter what your niche is, I mean, they need Jesus in the football world. Good Lord.
And you have outlets, though. That's the thing. Yeah. You have outlets. Like, you have, like, FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. You have things like that for people. I got ganged up on. And so, of course, you always have the argument, well, video games are just violent and they're making kids violent. And that's not necessarily true. And I talked about this with our friends at Geeks Under Grace a while back. And I get frustrated when people make that statement that, you know, video games are just making our kids violent and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's really not that at all, guys. Like, at all. And when you look at the facts of reality, when people lose their minds, you get these things, it's so much bigger than, well, they played a violent video game. Yeah. And the video game did not make these kids violent. The parents did. Yeah. Now, people don't like hearing that, but it's true. Mom and Dad's the one that bought this kid the video game. If you're going to blame the video game, blame Mom and Dad for buying the video game.
And then not checking it to make sure it was appropriate.
Right. And being part of life with their kid. Oh, come on. You have to be involved. Parents have to be involved with their kids. They have to be involved with the things their kids are doing. I don't care if the kids are into video games or the kids are into sports or they're just straight academic or maybe they're called to be the next Gordon Chef Ramsay or whatever his name is. Chef Gordon Ramsay. But the parents have to be involved in that stuff. And they're not.
Again. Yep. The same stupid little thing. Again.
I know. And so that's kind of my big rant about things. It's like it's more than just one thing. There's a whole slur of things. It's the way that people are taught. It's some of the stuff, maybe some of it's entertainment. But again, parents, why aren't you involved with your kid's life? And make sure they're not playing these things that you feel are objectionable. And honestly, I mean, some of the stuff that's out there, yeah, I get it. There's some stuff that's violent.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean, you got to teach your kids how to handle things. You have to teach your kids how to process and teach them what processing things really looks like. Yeah. We can't just put our head in a hole in the sand and just ignore reality.
And I think that's honestly a big problem, or the main problem with things today is that people don't know how to handle things. They've not been taught. And then you have people who just naturally have the common sense for it. And they don't understand why some people just don't know how to do things. If I do that, I die.
Yep, so don't do that. Play!
You has a halo.
I have a halo. I like oranges.
What? Oh.
So, but like we were saying, guys, and I didn't mean to go off on a rant about that, but that really is a frustration of mine. And you got kids in these communities, man, they just need somebody to love on them that can walk them through some stuff and speak life to them in reality on certain things. I don't know what else to say about the subject. I really don't. There's just, Celeste, I really see the need for people to be in this culture and
not fall off ledges.
Not fall off ledges. But like Celeste and we're in the geek culture, and there are other people in geek culture who do this, who love on people, who show hope and peace, and give life to others who need it.
Right.
But it needs to be understood that this is a real thing. I feel like some people, they roll their eyes. We got our friends that do this. They stream video games on a regular basis, and they talk about what they do. People are like, well, why are you doing that? That seems like a waste. Well, but look at the difference that they're making in people's lives. Look at the hope they're bringing to people.
So, look at the ministry. I mean, I'm sure that when Pastor Susie first started, people thought he was nuts.
Oh, yeah.
For doing this. Like, for starting what he calls an online church, and it's really what it is.
Yeah.
He has a church on Twitch.
And it's a legitimate, like it functions like a church. Yeah, he plays video games, and they have fun, and they do fellowship stuff together. But, I mean, he does services, and he really pastors people. He's sent missionaries.
Yeah. Well, and that's...
You were like one pixel off.
That's actually was one of the first streams that I watched. They were raising money to send someone to be a missionary. And so I was giving them hair dye tips.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things of, if you are a part of a community and you see a need, don't pay attention to people who are like, oh, there's no value in that. If you think God's calling you to do something, do it. Because you're in the community, you see what the need is.
Right.
They're not.
Now, there's boundaries.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty confident the Lord's not going to call a dude to go into women's ministry. I think it's kind of weird.
Probably not. But at the same time, it may be that it's not necessarily women's ministry, but a different form of supporting women.
Right.
Like, there's ways to do it.
Sure.
Within boundaries. Didn't mean to get weird with that.
It got weird.
It got weird.
Welcome to Comm Talk, where we get weird.
And our characters die frequently.
So frequent.
So frequently.
Okay, come on. I'm gonna make it.
So, I just need you to make it to the halfway mark. Can we do that?
We'll try.
Okay. Like, I'm trying not to be picky. Can it eat that flower?
Nope.
She can't eat the flower. Ah! Oh my gosh! That was so close. That was so close. Oh, they're chasing you!
Oh!
There was no halfway point on that?
I jumped on him last second. Oh man, when we told you guys we were recording this live, we really meant it. Alright, so here's the deal, guys. So the question becomes, what are Celeste and I doing about this moving forward? What are we doing about the gaming community? We do a lot of stuff in the geek realm as far as dealing with comic books, movies. We have our Patreon, which, by the way, if you'd like to support us on a monthly basis, go to patreon.com/Geek Devotions. And you can support us for as little as $1 a month, and you guys could help us in a really big way to do what we do. But we cover movies and video games and and we use those things as jumping off points, point people back to Jesus. We're wanting to raise funds to be able to take a mission trip. I mean, a legitimate mission trip to like San Diego Comic-Con or to Dallas Comic-Con or something like that, and do ministry and love on people. This past time at GeekCon, we got to pray with people and love on folks and encourage them. And cool story, Celeste and I were actually at GeekCon, and Celeste and I volunteer at another church with their youth ministry. They came to our church and said, hey, we need help. Can you guys help us? So our church sent us to help serve and help this youth ministry out. And one of the kids who's a visitor, he was like the friend of one of the kids who normally go to youth, saw Celeste and I at GeekCon. And seeing us was such an encouragement to him because he's a big nerd. He's a big geek. And like his whole thing was just to see General Grievous. Like that was his thing. And so when we got to see him afterwards, he was so excited. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you guys were at GeekCon!" You know, it was encouraging because he knew then that Celeste and I speak his language. We're part of this thing that he calls his life, which is geek culture. All right, losing stuff here. Come on. So again, we do all kinds of stuff, but the question again becomes, what are we going to do moving forward? How do we reach the the game community? Well, we're looking at doing a couple things. We will always encourage people to check out our friends over at Geeks Under Grace. Check out Retro Rewind podcast, which isn't necessarily a Christian podcast, although their patron only special features are very Christian based. I lost my Yoshi, and I lost my my power up there.
Can you go up that pipe?
I don't think so.
Can you go up that one?
I don't.
Look, there's Yoshi.
Yep. So we encourage people to go check those things out all the time because those are great established stuff. But we're going to do this, guys. We're going to start streaming on Twitch, and we've wanted to do this for a while, and it's just a matter of finding time to do it and working it out. And getting some of the mechanics worked out. And we've worked out quite a few things already. We've streamed a few times this week. If you go to twitch.tv/Geek Devotions, you'll see us there.
Yes. Where we currently are.
Yeah, where we currently are.
Run!
I lost my Yoshi. So, but I'm trying to figure out how I'm trying to say how I want to say it. I'm just gonna die here. So we're doing this because we believe that we have a voice to these people.
Yeah.
We believe that there's people who need hope in this community, who need to know God's love. And if you look at the gaming community on Twitch, you look at the gaming community just period, it gets toxic.
It can.
I remember talking with some of my students, and just some of the filth that they've heard and flack they've gotten from supposed teammates. It breaks my heart. There's not an FCA on Twitch.
No.
You know, FCA in the school systems, they teach athletes to be respectful, to be honoring, to be God-fearing, to honor God through their actions. And like I said, some of this goes back. It's not about the games. The games aren't causing people to do this.
Right.
Again, it's just that people aren't training. People aren't teaching kids. And we want to be there. We want to be there for people to love on them. Yeah. We want to be there and show them that there's a better way to game. There's a better way to respond to folks and to breathe life into a community that, guys, it's just toxic at times. And
we also, it comes back to our, kind of like our mission statement, I guess, would be the phrasing for that. You know, our tagline is, we're devoted to letting people know that they're loved. Yeah. And in order to do that, we have to be there. Yeah. Like, even though we are not the biggest gamers, we do not have the newest games, we do not have the biggest and best systems by any means. Right. We want to be there for people. We want them to know that they're loved. And this is a environment that needs somebody to tell them that they're loved. Yeah. Oh, man.
I just died.
He just died by releasing a shell against himself. So, I mean, that's really our heart, is to let people know that they're loved.
Yeah.
And so, in order to do that, we have to be there.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we do stuff. We do our Devoted Geek Togethers, and that's something we've really been pushing as of late. And we're playing out September's Devoted Geek Together because, again, geek community needs to get together. Doing stuff online, people watching our devotions are great. They're awesome.
And we are so thankful for every viewer.
Exactly. And we want to remind people we're not their pastors.
No, not at all. Oh, it came back.
We're not running an online church right now.
No.
I am the online community pastor at my church, the Healing Place. But we're not, Geek Devotions is not a church.
No.
We're just not set up to run that massive of a thing right now. But we are here to love on folks, but people need to get in touch with each other. They need to be in public with others. But again, there's such a huge world, such a huge community online. Right here on this platform, Twitch. You got Mixer. You've got even YouTube gaming, which is kind of a thing. And I've seen recently Facebook is pushing gaming.
Yeah.
They've really been pushing that too.
Well, they've realized that there's a market there, and that's what Facebook does, is they market things because it's a business.
Exactly. And, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. I mean, Facebook's like, hey, we're building community. That's great. Where's the Christians in there trying to build a godly community to show love? And again, we're not, when people jump in our streams, we don't bash on them, we don't hate on them.
Absolutely
people
not.
jump in and they're not believers in Jesus. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, we want to show them Christ's love and all that good stuff. And point them to Jesus and let them see Jesus through us and through our actions and the way we live our life. Now, if there's some questions, we will answer them, and we'll answer them in love and as respectful as possible. You may not like our answers, but it's a thing. That was close. Did you see that?
So, but at the same time, we're not going to...
I don't know what I just did.
I don't know what you did either. We're not going to be so... This is what we believe, that we turn people off.
Right.
Like... Yes, we believe what we believe, and we're not going to move on that, and we're not going to apologize for that.
No.
But it doesn't mean that we're not going to be friends with you or not be nice to you. Like, that would go very much against what we believe to do that.
Oh, yeah. It'd be like, this is what we believe, but we're not going to do it.
We believe that everyone should feel loved, but we're going to make you feel like junk.
Right.
Like,
now,
that's just not a thing.
Now, if you feel junk because you're convicted by the Holy Spirit...
that's not us.
That's not us, and that's conviction of the Holy Spirit. And, again, we're going to tell you the truth about certain things, if you ask us, and you may not like the truth. But we're not going to beat you upside the head because you don't like it.
Absolutely not.
So, come on!
I just need to get out of this level.
I know.
It's going to come back. Okay. Don't hold on to it forever.
Come on, baby. Give me the... Because that makes perfect sense. I'm just going to start spinning all the way down this thing. I'm curious what this is going to sound like on the podcast. To be perfectly honest.
Too. I'm actually kind of worried that Nintendo's going to get mad at us.
Oh, man. Well, guys, I think that's it. That's all we have to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to just sit here and just belabor it and just yammer on and on and on. Bottom line is, they're gamers that need love, that need Jesus.
Yes.
And we want to encourage you guys, if you're in the game community, to do that. And what were you going to say, Celeste?
Oh, and I was going to say, we're going to try and be there.
Yeah.
For those people. Oh my God, they're climbing up towards you.
We're going to be here. We're going to love on people no matter what. And show them Jesus. Show them hope. And let them know that they're loved.
Yeah. Because that's really the key.
Mm-hmm. So, alright guys, I think we're going to kill it here in just a second. Celeste, you got any final words, thoughts you want to add to the conversation?
No, not really. I think we've said everything we need to say.
Okay. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this content, again, do us a favor, consider rating and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. Again, this is a little different. If we record on Twitch again, it will not be while playing a video game.
No.
In fact, let me go ahead and mute this music real quick. But it won't be while we're recording a video game. In fact, it will be while we do other things, like talk to you directly.
Yes.
But do us a favor, check out our other stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. Not sure how you found us, but welcome. Consider subscribing to our channel. Consider liking this video, maybe, and sharing it with other people. And if this challenged you in any way, maybe you're challenged to be involved in a video game, or maybe just being involved where you're already at. And that's the thing, being involved where you're already at is a huge step. Let us know. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on this whole subject here. I don't have anything to say. We don't have our script in front of us.
We don't. Nope, you already said rate, leave a review.
Yep.
Check out our other social medias, Facebook, Instagram,
Yep.
Twitter, and for those of you listening later, check us out on Twitch, because there's all kinds of new things happening there.
All the time.
We don't know what we're doing.
We don't know what we're doing. We're figuring it out.
We're learning as we go. So
we know for right now we're going to be streaming Super Panda Adventures.
Yes.
We're going to be streaming Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
Chrono Trigger.
Yes.
And a couple others. We have a couple games that were given to us that we're going to play and review. So that's a cool thing. Special shout out to LJ Lowry of Geeks Under Grace for hooking us up with those games. Do us a favor, check out Geeks Under Grace on Twitch and YouTube. Check out Retro Rewind Podcast. Just look for Retro Rewind Pod on Twitch and on YouTube. Check out Victims and Villains on YouTube. He's coming out with some Twitch stuff soon, I think. But check out the podcast stuff also. Each one of them have a great podcast. Much better than ours.
Yes. Because again, with everything, we're learning.
We're learning. Alright. Well, guys, here's the news.
Stay devoted.
Peace and love.